So, wow, welcome, welcome, welcome. And this week we are going to be more organised, and we've got some important things to talk about, and we've sorted out our sound problem, hopefully.
Well, we've
And
resolved it because I'm here.
Marian's here, so look, that's the thing. Is like,
can you hear me, Mother?
Just come and sit next to me, Marian. It's like we won't try and do this thing across the country from London and so on. So anyway, we are live, and we've got some interesting things tonight that we want to share with you. And we have a guest. We have Samantha Surtees. I'm not sure if that's how I pronounce your surname, Samantha.
She can tell us when she comes on.
But she will tell us when she comes on, and she's going to talk about her new community interest company that she's set up, which is Turn a New Leaf. So let's just check who is here. Jack Cox is here. Very good. Hello, Jack. How are you doing? I hope you've had a good day today and nothing too untoward has happened to you today. Please let us know that you're well and you've had a good day. And I don't know if anyone else is here, but anyway, we are just it's two people. So whoever the second person is, we'd like to welcome you. I might be able to
find them now. I'm just looking on my computer to find us on Facebook and YouTube. Okay. So that's why I'm not looking at the screen.
Okay, so that's why we're not. She's not looking at the screen, and I am trying to be more.
What are you trying to be? More Marian. Don't do that. No,
Marian. No. So anyway, Jack, you've had a wonderful day in the Glastonbury Healing Gardens. Fantastic. Well, it's been raining so much today. How did you manage that? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's when I look outside, I see nothing but a lake as far as the eyes can see. It's like a great lake of water, the original inland sea that Joseph of Arimathea sailed in a boat on to arrive here at on the sacred Isle of Avalon and plant his staff that grew into the holy thorn tree. That's re-emerged today, and it's like it's not gone into the healing gardens, that water. But how was it, Jack? You were down there. Was it actually wet? How wet was it down in the gardens today? Or was it just a little bit soggy? Just a little bit soggy, maybe?
So do you want to share a little bit about the community gardens, Juliet?
Because right.
there'll be people watching this who've got no idea what that even means. So
okay.
And it's an amazing project, so listen carefully.
Okay. So the community gardens, if you like, are the charitable arm of Healing Waters Sanctuary. And Jack should have brought Work Willis. So I set up Healing Waters Sanctuary about 18 years ago, I think, something like that, at least 18 years ago.
And the sanctuary is a centre with its own grounds around it.
That's right. So we do healing retreats. We have a range of therapies. It's a venue for groups to come and book to run their own spiritual programs. And we have people from all over the world come and book at Healing Waters for anywhere between 3 days and 2 weeks, where they bring up to 22 people to run their personal retreats. So you can hire the sanctuary for exclusive private use. We can cater for you if that's what you'd like.
The food's amazing.
And we like to grow lots of the food in the healing gardens. Well, the healing gardens are like the charitable arm of what we've set up. So it's all about community. The model is that people join the gardens for a very small membership. They get to come into the gardens whenever they want. They join in on volunteer days, and we get a share. Each person gets a share of the produce. So it's whatever is currently growing.
You get 2 peas on a bad year.
Get 2 peas on a bad year. But there's always something. It's like my fridge has been absolutely full of apples because we've got about. You could eat.
How many fridges have you got full of apples? Come on, be honest.
Two large fridges full of apples. And Marian, every time she's come to visit me, has been eating.
Just eat apples.
Eating apples non-stop. So we've got about, I don't know how many apple trees. A lot of apple trees and lots of plum trees and damson trees, cherry trees, and so on. So, and pear trees. So we have a lot of produce here, even on a bad year. So it's not just 2 peas.
2 peas on a bad year.
We're 2 peas. We're two peas in a pod. So anyway, that's the model, and it's all about community, mental health, supporting mental health. So hang on, and so Jack's put something up here.
It's not just for mental health though, because if you say that, stop doing that.
Okay, I've got to stop doing that.
Covering our faces.
Covered our faces. Tell us. It's not just about mental health. What is it?
It's mental health prevention.
Yes.
So it's not come here because you're mad. It's come here so you don't go even madder. Basically,
that's right. So you might think we're mad, but we're not actually.
Because when you say it's mental health, I always think, oh, I better not go there because I'm not there yet.
No.
But there is a.
It's a mental health prevention.
Yeah.
And what I do is trauma healing, which is trauma healing prevention. So we're all about helping people.
Trauma prevention.
Trauma prevention, yeah, absolutely.
Well, we're live on YouTube and we're live on Facebook, so you can drop them traumas right now.
Okay, so Marion showed me how to do my glasses so that I don't get that light reflected.
So unprofessional.
It's like that. We've got the light in our eyes.
And now we go pro. Let's go pro.
Now we've got to go pro.
We go pro. Look
like
at that.
Okay, so and then we have to do the Katie Hopkins thing with
cleavage.
The cleavage. We've got to have the cleavage on. So we're trying to do the
cleavage
and the pro look. So we're trying to get it right.
To do Katie Hopkins, you have to go like that, down and down, down, and you go right. She
like
brings,
this.
like just like that. Yeah.
No way.
She does, just like you. Look at you.
Oh my God. Okay.
Get your bits in. Put your bits in.
6 kids I've had. 6 kids. Would you believe it? You know. Fed them
Community
all.
Gardens. Right. Let's get back on it. Come
on. Serious now. Serious.
Oh, serious.
Okay. So okay. Now Marion's told me that when we do this, I have to stop showing all the chats all the time because it's very distracting. So we're only going to show your chats at a certain point of time. We're getting more organized, more professional with our cleavage and our professional look at our glasses, okay? And we're organizing the show a little bit better so that we've got very important things to share. And the other model is that we want to start inviting people onto the show to talk about what they're doing, because we're not just talking about how crap the world is at this moment in time, because we
don't need to. I'm bored listening. Yeah,
I'm bored listening to, but we are trying to plough our way out of an immense amount of abuse and persecution and so on. So we do want to bring, as today we will talk a little bit about how they're managing to do this, but we also want to give a good proportion of the show to talk about how we can make a difference. So how I make a difference is that I do the Healing Waters Sanctuary and offer a venue for people and do trauma prevention healing there. I also run trainings on trauma prevention healing for therapists that give them the skill set. I do the healing gardens. I'm writing. So last week I mentioned my book, Healing Stress, Anxiety and Fear. So you can find that on my website. And Marion here, lovely Marion, has been extremely creative in doing all sorts of things to help people, haven't you?
Yeah. What I'm doing at the moment is all sovereignty, autonomy and liberty. How can we maintain, how can we sustain our sovereignty? How can we act on our own volition? How can we make our own decisions? How can we be independent of a system that wants to control us and stay with liberty, so that we spend what we want to spend, when we want to spend it, where we want to spend it, time, money, energy, whatever it is we want to spend, we choose, we decide what we do, where we do it and how we do it. Because the control mechanisms, actually it's interesting because that's what we're going to talk about a bit later as well, isn't it? About the thing. The control mechanisms that are at play will, we have to plan to work as a community to make sure that we create our own way of dealing with that control mechanism, which is basically telling it to go. But in order to do that, we need to make sure that the control mechanisms, the mechanisms that we are creating can't easily be taken and controlled. So it's not like some kind of operation where we're being, you know, the poisoned apple. We're not being shown the poisoned apple so we can go and have all of our freedoms taken. It's about taking really, really, really powerful steps into how to be free. And it's very scary. And it's very, it can really put people about, because we're not used to taking care of ourselves completely. We, you know, things like if you forget your password on your bank account, it's easy to get a new one, isn't it? But that's because you're chained to the bank. When you're free, so I work with cryptos a lot, and when you're free and when you're in the decentralized crypto space, there is no forgotten password button. Where if you lose your phone, you lose your book that your passwords were written in, if you lose your information, you cannot get it back if you haven't backed it up properly. And it's up to me to back up my stuff, to store it where I want it, where I know it's safe, where I can access it. And it's got nothing to do with anybody else. I cannot be looked after by anybody else, because then I lose control and I lose my liberty. So that's what I'm all about.
Yeah, it's sort of, sovereignty is about taking responsibility and being responsible for your own health, your own food supply, etc., and not to give our power over to the state. So as long as we're hooked into the state and we want to be spoon-fed, plastic-coated food from the supermarkets, or
very pretty food, all colours and
all nice sizes, all sat at, you know, you don't even have to chop it up before dinner
so
or whatever.
convenient.
It's so nice, yes. And
5-minute dinner.
Yeah, but it's not quite the same.
They used to have those, didn't they, on the telly? The 10-minute dinners, and they how long it would take you to make your dinner.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we like scrubbing. We like digging our parsnips up.
Yes. I digged a hole big enough to be a grave to get 4 parsnips out about 3 years ago.
God, did you get covered in that?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about, you know, having your vegetables with mud on them and scrubbing them, and
you get minerals from mud, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
You should always have a little bit of mud in your veg.
Yeah. We
as long as you know where it's come from.
We all need these microorganisms, and the microorganisms on our vegetables with a little. Even Charles Dowden says a little bit of dirt on your carrots is good, and he goes, you know. So it's about taking this kind of responsibility and stop handing our power over to the state. That's a big part of creating the new earth. So I personally would never get one of those things in my arm. I never wanted that to happen to my children or anyone else. It's absolute madness. It's full of poison, and healing is about eradicating poison from the body and not about putting more in.
And strengthening the body so the body knows how to cope with any other toxins that come in as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I was listening to a channeling today that said they thought that the channeled information was like the health system's going to be totally gone by 2028, as we know it.
When you look at the Agenda 2030, you can see all of these things that are going to take place if they get their own way.
Yeah, we're not going to let them get their own way. Anyway, so here we go. I want to talk.
Do we not want to introduce?
Should we talk with some? Well,
because you were talking about your community project and her community project.
Okay, so what's the time? 15:15. So I don't know if you're there at this point in time.
If you go down, she should be in the.
So
she's in the green room.
Oh, you're in the green room. Hello, Samantha. So okay, so we will talk up until it's 15:15. Samantha, you're our first guest, and
don't give her a time limit. You'll make her really nervous. You're very welcome to come and join us, Samantha, and let's see how it goes, because we've got lots in common. It's going to be great, and we'll still be able to get through all of Juliet's points as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I always want to pump this information out. So lovely Samantha is here in the green room, and I'm about to click the button and fingers crossed that this works and we go live, Samantha. Okay. So Samantha is going to tell us all about herself, her new community interest company that she's setting up called Turn a New Leaf. I hope I've got that correctly. And she's a very proficient sound healer, and now a beautiful mother, and is all about sovereignty herself as well. So welcome to Samantha. Here we go. Welcome. Yay, I did it.
Well
done.
Hiya.
Hi. We have to sit closer together.
Sit closer, come up here a bit more.
I haven't got the professional light. Look, it's shining on me.
Do it, you just have to, okay. Yeah, how's your cleavage?
How's your cleavage?
Oh yeah, I've sorted that as well.
Top notch.
Top notch. Well, you just had a little baby, so you should have plenty of cleavage.
6 years ago, almost.
I was there.
So I hope that there's not too much noise in the background. It's the school holidays and I've got my little one in the background and the dog.
That's all right. He's welcome. You can bring him on. I'd love to see little Orion. He's 6 years old now. Amazing.
He's good. He's just in the background there. So thank you for having me. Lovely to meet you, Marion. And it's really lovely to be invited on. It's as we were talking about divine timing, and it was I just happened to jump on and just happened to mention about my garden project. And I was just reflecting on people that are important in your life, and you look back and see how they've really helped you. And actually Juliet was one of those people on my path when I came to Glastonbury, and I was just kind of finding myself after a big awakening, and I just went along, and I was drawn to go to the community garden, which is an absolutely amazing place. And it's I'm only just trying to set up this little garden now, and it's it's quite big, but the work that you put in, and it's just an incredible place. And not just that, it's just the energy that's anchoring in, a really important energy that's just anchoring in Avalon. And I think it's amazing.
And where
you're amazing,
Samantha? Where's your garden?
Well, my garden is in my back garden. So I am I've been doing sound healing for 10 years now, so I'm just basically evolving with my journey. And I had Orion, he's 6 in July. So I came back home. I left Glastonbury to I was doing sound journeys there, and a group of Nicaraguans came to one of my sound journeys, and she asked me if I would go to Nicaragua to do healing there.
Okay, was that a healing retreat that happened at Healing Waters?
No, I did sound journeys at
one of the rooms downtown, wasn't it?
I can't remember the name of it now. It was lovely place. I remember it.
Room or something like that.
No, it was the one right at the top that does all the counselling and stuff.
Like the Sweet Track?
Yes, Sweet Track, in Colette. So I was doing them there, and a group came who came through a connection from because I used to work in the cafe, so I was just part-time. So I was just finding my way, and Juliet gave me that sanctuary that I needed to just have my own space. And just one thing led to another, and I was invited over there, and I followed the breadcrumbs and just went over and ended up coming back with Orion, 3 months pregnant, and I came home. So I came home to South Shields, to my dad's. And again, it was just divine timing, because my dad he had cancer when not long after I came home. So I had that year with him, and then Orion had the 3 months with him as well. And I'd lived away all that time before, so it was just a really beautiful thing to have that. And so just been doing my work, just petering along, but I've been a full-time mother, stay-at-home mother. But I found that I was doing the private work. So obviously, we've got, you're doing one-to-one sessions and groups, and it's just so niche, isn't it? It's like, other people who need it, like in the community, haven't got access to that, because firstly, they haven't got the money. Secondly, they're not in those circles, so they don't know, so it's kind of, I found myself, I do feel like I'm on a holy path, and I really resonate with Jesus gathering the flocks and being in the community of just giving people an opportunity to have access to this stuff in a non-confrontational way of like, so Turn a New Leaf came to me as I set up a community interest company to just have funded projects and to be able to do the same work that I'm doing, but in a more like a more finely tuned way of being able to work with young mothers, with children. And so it's mental and emotional well-being, which basically is, you know, all of the healing work we do, it comes under that.
Yeah.
Under that umbrella, you know, and sound is everything, you know, so it's kind of just by its very nature. I've, you know, been doing some pilot programs. So in that pilot program, I just do sound journeys. And so when I say sound journeys, basically on my journey, when I started to have my big awakening in 2012, 2013, I came home after I'd been teaching scuba diving and I just felt lost and just didn't know myself and was just questioning, who am I, what am I meant to be doing, and just didn't feel like I had an identity. I just decided, you know, like,
Samantha, you said about a big awakening. Could I ask you what happened when that was and what happened in your big awakening?
So 2012, I went, I lived in London for 13 years. Had a corporate job, and I decided to go away and teach scuba diving. So before that, previous to that, I was I'd partied all my life, you know, since I was young, you know, in a good way. I was taking recreational drugs, which people can say whatever, but I had fun. You know, I've had an amazing time with me friends and partied around the world and had so much fun. But when I went away, I wasn't doing any of those things. And I started to just realize that that was when I was by myself, and I just was like, who am I? You know, and it had been coming on for quite a few years before that, and I hadn't sort of acknowledged it fully. But it really just came on there, and I didn't want to go back to London. So I asked my dad if I could come home. When I came home, I had these CDs, which were Jerry and Esther Hicks, like Laws of Attraction, which I hadn't even opened, but I was obviously seeking before that.
Yeah.
So I came back home and I was just like, I wasn't depressed, but I just thought I can't face anyone, because I was meant to have gone away from like this, you know, like amazing trip, which it was, but, you know, and then coming back not knowing myself. So, and then I listened to a couple of CDs, which I found, which was Conversations with God. And previous to that, if anyone talked to me about God, I just wouldn't listen. I just closed down, because it was just a religious God that I knew of. So then I started to have all of these feelings and, you know, got really an awakening just from that. But then I was just walking around saying, I need some signs, God, because I can't just start believing in you. And that's when I thought it dropped in. A friend of mine had done ayahuasca, the plant medicine from the Amazon. So I was like, that's what I need to do. So I spoke to him, and we did a ceremony. And in the second ceremony, I was gifted my voice to use as a healing tool. And that was when I was shown all, not in words, but just as a bodily experience and teaching about sound, what sounds to harm that are used to harm us, silent sounds, and the sounds frequencies that hold the earth, and the good sounds, and what my sound was going to do and what I should do with it. So just started letting out these sounds, where before I just used to sing to the radio and everyone used to put their fingers in their ears. So from then, the past 10 years, I've been using my voice. So I carry healing frequencies in my voice.
So that was an amazing thing where suddenly you found that your voice was powerful and had healing frequencies, whereas previously you had a negative feeling about your voice when you said, "Oh, other people put their fingers in their ears." So it's like in that big awakening that you had, and you found a relationship with God, which wasn't the God of the religion, but you had a direct experience with a direct spiritual experience there. So that was basically your awakening, that shift in
my life changed in that moment. And it
Ryan, hi, darling. Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. You're going to wave to me. Oh, sweetheart.
You met Juliet when you were a baby.
I saw you when you were tiny, and now you're a big boy, aren't you? Really big boy. Oh, nice to see you. Yeah.
Hopefully not. So my life changed in that moment, and a lot of things had to fall away, and when I say it was hard, it wasn't hard, because once I felt God, then everything else that was hard for me. But previous to that, I had a deeper understanding and could see it was part of my path, and that it was all there to work through and could be worked through. So I had something to work towards, and ever since then, God has been with me, and anything that I've experienced, I've been able to move through, because I know that God's with me. So I've been doing the healing, as I said, for all of these years, and I think something that's really just been coming to me a lot is the quote, chopping wood and carrying water. And that's really something that I've just continued to do, because I feel like there's been a lot of people who have come on and they're just like really well known and making loads of money straight away, and that hasn't been my path, and that's okay, it's kind of, but I just have been chopping wood and carrying water, and it's just like that, just keep doing what I'm doing. But it's always that inner journey that I'm taking within myself, and using all of my life and life's reflections to get to know myself better. And as time's gone on, things are starting to, I feel like things are shifting more here, and more things are starting to happen. But with the community project, I just feel like, because as soon as I've set that up, I feel like now I'm being more supported, because that's actually what I'm meant to be doing, which is more helping with the community. So I had been doing, so Turn a New Leaf is basically, not going back to the old ways, but drawing upon the old ways and making them anew, and kind of taking all that wisdom from the ways that which worked, and it takes a village, and bringing everybody together to share their gifts, and that I can't do it all myself. So I'm therefore doing the sound journeys. I've done it, well, three programs now, 1 funded and 2 pilot programs, where it was like 10-week programs, where if you get if I'm doing the sound journeys, people tend to come 1 week, and then you don't see them for a while. But then now they're starting to become a bit regular. But it shows like anything, you need like a bit more of a longer term process of turning up each week to see real change. So because we've done it over like the 10 weeks and shorter programs, and then being able to get the evaluation of how it's helped, even though these people have been coming in and it's nothing's like a direct, I'm not counseling, I share something that's resonant of what I'm going through in my life, and I share tools to empower. So basically what my journey is to remind, or to reflect, like that, for us to remember who we are, which is what will carry us through all of this madness and all of everything that's going on around us, is to find that connection again to ourselves, to our true essence, and to remember that we do have the tools to navigate this, within us. And when we're not relying on the external factors for our security, when we come to that connection within, to God, that is the main foundation rock that will carry us through anything, and nothing can take that away, once you have that connection. And it's not something that can be taught, it just has to be felt, and it has to be your own experience. So with these sound journeys, it's just inviting people in from, to assist them in mental and emotional well-being, and everybody's going through stuff.
People find out about them, Samantha? Where can people go to find out about this work?
Well, at the minute I'm just on Facebook, but I'm just in the middle of creating a website.
Okay. And what's your Facebook page called, or are you just doing it as your
I've got Turn a New Leaf Facebook page. Okay. Yeah. So.
And do you work virtually as well as in person, or is all your work in person?
I have done virtually. I just haven't recently.
I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because with this building communities, we're already in virtual communities. We got shoved into them 2020, whether we wanted to or not, didn't we? And now I think it's time to step back into the real ground and actually really be with people, because it's the idea of having communities. It's for the flesh of this body that you want to be in communities as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not just for the mind and the information.
Yeah, I'm finding, you know, from doing the sound journeys, just people coming in anonymously pretty much, and just coming in and, you know, not like asking them like their life story, and then at the end finding out how it's helped. Then we've got things like menopause, you know, sexual traumas, grief, you know, it's like all of these in different, you know, issues, and then mothers that have had children with autism that needs the space, do you know what I mean, to find themselves, and, you know, all of these different things. So then I can then move into what I'm going to be planning on doing is, you know, doing like 10-week programs for grief, and 10-week programs for, I'm just putting for funding for mothers with challenges with their children, you know, because there's so many different strains of ADHD and autism, and then, you know, trauma and all these different things that are there. But what I am doing now is and I'm only just finding my way with it. I knew what I wanted to do, but then it's just the vision sort of just evolves as I've done the pilot programs and getting more clear idea of how to move forward with it. I'm just asking, I was donated a beautiful gift from a family that I'd been helping. Beautiful family, the mother had cancer, and they gifted me the donations from the funeral. So which was a beautiful thing. And I'm now doing a day workshop for grief. So it's called Life After Death.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So, Samantha, could you put your information on the Facebook page underneath this video? I'm going to move on to the other content now, and you know, possibly give you another opportunity, another time. You can tell us a little bit more. But meanwhile,
I want to know how these grief things go, because it's really important. It's really needed. So yeah, we need you back for a catch up on what's going on.
Yeah. So this is an intro to you, and then we can follow along with you and you know, begin to promote what you're doing, because this is part of, you know, that we're building the new earth. We have to be resilient, and we have to be able to really help each other. So that's amazing what you're doing.
Yeah, and I'm setting up the garden in the back, because I've got a big garden, so getting the seeds, and anything I have I'll take, and then I'm giving back into the community and bringing some people in to, so it's a full spectrum approach to life, because you've got to get all areas, don't you, to have that happy wholeness. It's not just the inner, it's the outer, and the thoughts we think, and, you know, what we do and how we live. So it's a full spectrum approach to life.
Absolutely, and it's all about being authentic. When you say chop wood, carry water, it's like I say shit and string beans. It's like, it's what's the normal daily practice to be, you know, about living and being real, and not being, you know, not being glamour, not being, you know, not the corporate, but
not the pro.
Not the pro.
Day in, day out, isn't it? It's like, you know, that's where the juice is. That's all we need. Do you know what I mean? I guess that's the thing of the moment of now. It's like, it's all there in front of us, in your interactions and the people, you know, your relations, and how your life is on a day to day. You know, it's there.
And this is why it's really difficult to plan what you're going to do in the future until you're taking action, because it unfolds through your action, doesn't it? So it's impossible, I think, to envisage how the future will be without.
I'm on a complete need to know basis. It just drops in, you know, and like even coming on here, it's like just drops in what I should speak about, you know, and it's just, you get told, you know, God tells me.
Yeah. Well, keep in touch, and if you want to share anything onto my Facebook page, I always send it over. Okay.
Thank you so much.
On YouTube as well, so put your link on the YouTube video too.
And I love seeing you together. You're so funny. I just love your realness and just the little things you throw in together. It's funny. Thank you for showing up in the way you both do. Thank you.
Oh, bless you.
It's a pleasure, and a pleasure to meet you, Samantha. Can't wait till the next time.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Oh, it's a real joy. It's a real joy to me to see you now and what you're doing. And I was so sad when you left. It's like, no, you can't go away.
Now you're back.
now you're back, and we can, you know, it's all about us all working together, isn't it?
I know. I'll be hitting you up for some tips on the garden, because I'm a complete novice as well. I've got the odd graft to put in, but not the actual skills. But all the right people come along, you know, when they're meant to. So
yeah. Well, you know, I'm trying to post little videos about what we're doing in the gardens as well. So yeah.
All right, I'll keep watching. Thank you.
Samantha, bye.
Bye. Lots of love. Okay, bye.
It's so interesting, isn't it, when you start to discover what people are doing, and how many different ways there are to support each other.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm now just going to share a little bit of, there's so much going on, but one of the overriding things is about how much the narrative is controlled by the media, and how much we're co-opted into believing what the media is saying is true when we know it's absolutely not true, and how hard it is for people to get that information, the truthful information, out to people. So I want to tell you about a woman, and her name is Ros Nealon Cook. She's a psychologist, and she was interviewed recently by
New Zealand.
Australian. I don't know if she was interviewed by Dr. John, what's his name? Campbell?
Yes, Campbell, that's it.
So I think she might have been interviewed by him last week or something. Cool. So she's a psychologist, and she had her license suspended. It was John Campbell. Yeah. She had her license suspended for sounding the alarm about the harms done to children through the pandemic policy. So that wasn't just those things, but it was everything about the lockdowns and so on, the psychological harms,
the mass,
the distances, how much that psychologically affects people.
Being locked in our homes for months on end.
Yeah. So she quite innocently was flagging it up to her superiors that she was witnessing a huge amount of harm done to the children in the families that were being locked down and so on. And she was like astounded that she was being told to shut up. And then she had her license revoked. And then other psychologists that, she appealed to also just said, don't talk about it. And then being a psychologist, she got very suspicious, and she started studying what was happening, and realized that people were being censored, and how the media were, how they actually censored them, what the control mechanisms were and are, how they use mind control, neuro-linguistic programming and so on. That's like she could completely see how cynically her skill set had been used by the establishment and that of other psychologists to actually control us.
And coerce everybody.
So she did not like being coerced. She did not like the role of coercing other people. So she said, fair enough, if you want to take my license, take my license. But she set up now the Cape Byron Lighthouse Declaration to raise awareness about widespread propaganda by the government and censorship of expert scientific opinion, because in reality, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of scientists, doctors, and so on that are saying, no, what's going on is wrong, that there is harm being caused. But if you're only hooked into the media, you won't ever hear this, because
safe and effective, categorically.
Absolutely, categorically, which is Rishi Sunak said to Andrew Bridgen last week in Parliament, when several people, when on GB News, were talking about the harm that had been done, extreme harm had been done to them as a result of receiving this medication. And I think we talked about it last week, where the guy who'd been very harmed was saying to Rishi Sunak, look into my eyes, and see, see how I've been injured. And Rishi Sunak turned around and totally said, oh, well, it's not the government's fault. It's like the doctors advised us wrongly. But in that same week, he'd said to Andrew Bridgen, when Andrew Bridgen had queried again about these things being harmful, and Rishi Sunak had said,
categorically safe and effective.
Yeah, I mean, it's such lies.
Just swept the whole thing that Andrew Bridgen's been doing aside, because I mean, he couldn't afford to even start looking into any of that, because he's got to carry the story he's been given. He's a puppet, and he's got a bag of stuff he's got to distribute. That's his job, and he can't waver from that, because he ain't got any power. None of them have they? They're all puppets. They're all being controlled by the same string pullers.
Absolutely. So you're not going to get the truth if you're listening to the media. And it's like Marion and I, like when we were doing the Elders' Wisdom before, we gave £400 in total for somebody to smash
the telly on video.
Because we wanted to demonstrate. It's like, this is really harmful. You're hooked into this media through the TV, through the newspapers. All the newspapers are owned by the same
groups.
The same groups. You know, it's all controlled, and it's all controlled through the CIA, etc., which we'll show you in a minute. But this woman that I'm talking about, Ros Neil Cook, explained, it's like, what causes us to lose our autonomy? How come intelligent people, educated and so on, are going with this narrative? Why is it so easy to be a victim to the psyops? How do we fall prey to the psyops? And
we'd mentioned this with Mark Atwood, hadn't we, when we were talking to Mark one day about your book, and Mark was saying, what is it that's different about us? Why do some people get sucked in and some people question everything? What is it that makes us different? And I think this is what's being really highlighted by this, isn't it?
Yeah, because so many people have said, I don't understand why I can't wake people up. Why is it so hard? It's like, I can see what's going on, but you know, my loved ones, my family can't see, and there's this division happening in the families, which is very devastating, and it's causing, you know, it's probably going to be our biggest issue is the mental health damage done by the way we've been.
By all of it. And this is what she's highlighting, isn't it, this woman, with her knowledge of psychology as well.
Absolutely. So what she explained, which is very interesting to me, because I talk quite a lot about attachment, is that those people that are very traumatized and have had a lot of attachment damage or had no attachment, you know, this is the most fundamental core need of a human being, is to have a safe attachment with your mother or your parent figure if the mother isn't there, a safe, strong attachment. But if you didn't have, then you're basically very distrusting of any kind of authority. So that certainly applied to me.
And me.
That applied to you as well.
Yeah.
So it's like we just simply didn't trust it right from the beginning. We didn't trust what we were being shown. But if you had a relatively secure attachment, like my children did, for instance, like they had a much better attachment to me than I did to my mother, then it's much easier for them to go along with the narrative. Yeah, because they have more trust. So Ros Nielsen, whatever her name was, what's her name? Cook. Sorry, Ros. She pointed out that if you've got a safe attachment as a child, when you become an adult, then you transfer that attachment across to the authority to the governing bodies and so on. So that's how people
don't question it. They just follow, do what you're told, because the person who's telling you is caring for you.
They've managed to become hooked into the whole thing. So
it's so interesting though, because I've never even considered it from that perspective before. Because I think because I do have disrupted attachment stuff going on in my own life, and part of me, part of the way I am, wants to be like others and wants to do as I'm told, because it's got this like young victim needs to make an attachment and makes me feel safe. So there are some times where I do go along with things or try and do things to fit in. I do it less and less these days. But it still catches me sometimes. Like, what am I doing this for? You know, I don't need to be impressive. I don't need to be impressed. I don't need to be anything. I'm actually quite good as I am. But yet this desire for attachment is still there with me. But I also now I'm really grateful after reading this, thinking, oh my God, so it's my smashed up attachments that have actually kept me safe. It's effective, safe and effective.
That's right. So, you know, we have been very much victim to what's going on. And it's a very core, this thing about media freedom. So she's talking about signing this declaration. So do go to it and sign it for to try and fight back
against. We'll put a link under the videos.
Yeah, to fight back about censorship. But Tucker Carlson, there's two things that's happening, and we are a bit short on time now. But I will learn how to manage things a bit better. So Tucker Carlson interviewed this guy called Mike Bentz, who's I think he's a CI whistleblower. I want to see if I can just show you this short, because he talks about how the CIA as totally, the CIA and DARPA set up all the social media platforms and how they have been controlling the narrative and the elections, that the 2020 election was rigged, but not just that one, but all the elections, all the way, you know, in multiple countries, and it's been going on for years. And that they've been causing colour revolutions and so on, and controlling the narrative about what people think through the media, through the mainstream media. But with the onset of social media, then they actually set up. They created it. So all our social media platforms have been deliberately created, and then with very complex algorithms and so on, that they have totally censored dissenting people and swayed, you know, election results. And
there was that amazing social media program years ago on Netflix, wasn't it?
Oh,
and
yeah,
it was seeded with a little couple of bits of shite, but generally it was actually really informative, wasn't it?
It was, and I can't remember what it was, but
it's called social media.
Yeah, I think it was called social media. So yeah, so the biggest psyops that's happened was the 2020 election that was stolen, and that you know, that what we think is the result is not the result, and those people that we think are in control are not really in control.
Quite clearly
shits
not. Himself and falls over everything.
Absolutely.
Shakes hands with ghosts.
So and the other thing was the whole pandemic psyop that we've all got hooked into. So I'm going to show you this short clip of this guy, Mike Bentz, talking to Tucker Carlson about this. I hope it works. So I'm just experiment. Okay, so here it goes. I'm screen sharing it, and how do I start it?
To go to the other window. Which window is it?
Okay.
Is it in the browser or something?
So okay, let me see. Okay.
That one there, now you just press.
As a DARPA grant, they got their funding as part of a joint CIA-NSA program to chart how, quote, birds of a feather flock together online through search engine aggregation. And then 1 year later, they launched Google and then became a military contractor quickly thereafter. They got Google Maps by purchasing a CIA satellite software, essentially. The ability to track, to use free speech on the internet as a way to circumvent state control over media all around the world was seen as a way to be able to do what used to be done out of CIA station houses or out of embassies or consulates in a way that was totally turbocharged. Free speech was championed more than anybody by the Pentagon, the State Department, and our CIA cutout NGO blob architecture as a way to support dissident groups around the world in order to help them overthrow authoritarian governments. Google began as a DARPA grant. They got their funding as part of a joint CIA-NSA program to chart how, quote, birds of a feather flock together online through search engine aggregation. And
okay, so bear with us.
You've done brilliantly. Well done, you.
I've done very well.
Woohoo!
So,
you did it. You played a video. Woohoo!
Yeah, I did a video. So okay, well done. I didn't quite get it right, but there you go. So yeah, okay.
You got it absolutely right. You just were a bit slow, but that'll speed up every time.
Okay, so bear with us. You know, elders' wisdom. We're doing our best.
Doddering along.
Just see how we've improved over the last few weeks. It's like, let's all start our own our own shows or whatever. It's citizen journalism. And talking about journalism, it's a very, very epic day today for one of the most maligned people and the most courageous person on the planet, and that is Julian Assange.
Yeah.
And the case that's they're trying to extradite him to America. And this is the second day now. We're going to hear the results tonight of whether that will be allowed or not. But Julian Assange, if you don't know it, he's been held for 5 years at Belmarsh Prison without any charges.
Solitary confinement. Horrible, horrible, horrible.
it's so evil what our government is doing, and what the CIA, so Mike Pompeo of the CIA plotted to, that's coming out as well, plotted to murder him when he was in the Ecuadorian embassy. So who is Julian Assange? He's a brilliant mind, and he set up an organization called WikiLeaks. And all he was doing, he's just a journalist. He's always just been a journalism, and he's been publishing information that's been given to him by whistleblowers. So his big thing that he didn't do wrong but did right, it was a service to humanity, was that he exposed the war crimes of the United States when Charlie, what was his name, the whistleblower in America who was in the military, okay, well, I've forgotten his name, but he was a young man in the military in America.
Snowden?
No, it was after Snowden.
Oh,
Snowden happened, and then there was this other young man. Anyway, he released video footage, because he could just see that what America was doing in Iraq was absolutely criminal. And he released video footage from a helicopter showing how the helicopter had fired on civilians in the street and killed about 6 reporters. And then there were children involved in that as well. So he gave that information to Julian Assange, and Julian Assange published it. And the American government were completely exposed. He also, around about that time, just before the 2020, no, it wasn't, it was the 2016 election, when the whole thing about Hillary Clinton was exposed, that Hillary Clinton had her own email server, and that the whole thing about the Podesta emails and Pizzagate and all that.
And stuff around Haiti as well. There's a lot of stuff around Haiti.
Yeah, how children were being trafficked from Haiti and so on. So all he's ever done is publish information about how the American government and officials have been in criminal activity, doing criminal activity. And the state has totally turned on him, as they will, because they're vicious.
They're doing it.
They're doing it, and they don't want to be exposed. Yeah. So hence they cooked up a case against him at that time, that he said that he'd raped somebody, which he never had done, because even the person that had been told she'd been the person that was said to have brought the allegations denied it and said no, that never happened. So just the same way as who's the guy now on who's also been accused of rape, who's very popular in the media?
Russell Brand.
Yeah, they've just done the same thing with Russell Brand. So if you go along and listen to the media all the time, you're going to fall for their lies, and they're just doing it continually.
They'll never stop.
They'll never stop.
We've got this thing of what when eventually they reveal it, they never ever that level of mentality and that level of humanity, they're never going to reveal this to us. They will lie until their dying breath. Yeah, because that's how they've lived their whole lives. Why would you change?
No, exactly.
So our expectation that they might touch it within their own humanity and reveal something, that we have to lay to that.
And Rishi Sunak is in there.
It's living proof, isn't it?
It's living proof.
Look me in the eye, how injured I am, and he's there going safe and effective. It's just,
it's
this
vile.
is how it is. This is how they are. This is why we have to create something new. There's no point trying to rebuild what's there. It's shite.
Yeah.
So let's just leave it to its own devices and do what we can to build what we want. Was it Buckminster Fuller said, didn't he? Let the old be obsolete while you build the new. Just it'll become obsolete, because what you create will be what you want, and that's what we'll use. That's where our energy will go, and what isn't here will just be obsolete.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it. It's like we need to root for Julian Assange and support him as much as possible. My heart is broken witnessing what he's gone through all these years, all that time isolated in the Ecuadorian embassy when he was trying to protect himself from being attacked by the CIA and so on, and the establishment. And then they came and they ripped him out of the embassy and took him to Belmarsh. So he's never done anything criminal at all. And it's not just the fact that they're doing this to Julian, but this represents what they're doing to journalism and free speech. Yeah, this is the critical thing. We need to.
Well, Tucker wasn't going to be allowed to fly out of Europe, was he? All the European airlines had agreed that he would not be allowed on an aeroplane. Did you know that?
So Tucker Carlson, because
he spoke to Putin.
Yes, because he spoke to Putin. Now he's said to be a criminal and treasonous and so on. It's all lies. And so they attempt to shut down Tucker by saying he's not allowed to travel in Europe, the same as they've done to David Icke, made out he's a loony and he's not allowed to travel in Europe and so on. We have to stand up. We have to build our autonomy, take responsibility for our bodies, our health, our food supplies, and so on. So we are getting close, and I've not given anybody here a chance to speak. Yay. We are, yay! We're getting close
you can speak now.
You can speak. So I'm just going to say, has anybody said anything? So let's see. Loads of people have been saying things.
Oh, there's a whole conversation going on here. We've got FOMO now, Julian.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, I'm happy to go over a few minutes. I don't know. Are you happy to go over for a few minutes? If you're happy to go over for a few minutes. So let's see. Okay, I'm just going to pose this one question that you can think about if you haven't put any comments so far, and you can write here. But meanwhile, what has been the impact upon you with the current events? How has that affected you? And how can you maintain your sovereignty? What can you personally do, given this information and what you already know? Because it's not about us giving you. If you're on this show, if you're here now, you've already been thinking about these things. How can you strengthen yourself, strengthen your sovereignty, and what shifted for you today, maybe in what's been shared here? So, yeah. What? How can you? How can you move it forward?
Creating what we do want. What's your next step in that direction?
Yeah. Pay it forward. So I'm going to flick through some of the comments. So if you've got something you want to write now, put it down there, okay? And we'll see. Okay. I'm just flicking through. Okay. So
shall I sing a song?
You sing a song.
What was the song we were going to sing?
Oh, I don't know. But if you sing.
Oh, I know. Beneath my feet begins to crumble. Our love will never die. You're my lover now. We'll be in love eternally. And that's the way. That's the way it's meant to be. Right, you go with that.
Okay. You keep singing. Okay, you keep singing. Okay, you don't. So adds to the flavour. Jack Cox says dirt adds to the flavour.
Oh dear.
Okay, so that's going back to our conversation about the carrots with the dirt in. Vibra Voxer. Hi, Vibra. She says, hi from Bonnie, Scotland. Well, when are you going to get down and keep singing? Keep singing.
No, I'm not all singing while you talk.
Oh, okay. So we want the shortbread down here and a cup of tea. Oh, no, that's not.
Bring me some haggis.
Haggis. Okay, this is Samantha's Turn a New Leaf Community Interest Company. And Samantha says, thank you so much for having me. Okay, Samantha, I want to be invited on your show, which you're going to be setting up soon. Okay. Jack Cox says, the death of journalism in the age of censorship. Thank you, Jack, for sharing that link. That was a show that you did last week, wasn't it?
Cool.
Jack does amazing shows. Do follow his shows. He's bringing up a lot of very, very, we've all important subjects, and we've all got to stand together and do the best we can. So Dawn Smith says, I phoned the GP in 2001 asking for an exemption as I worked in care, but her reply was no, it's perfectly safe and effective. Wow. Well, I think over 17 million, maybe closer to 20 million people have died now.
It's over 20 million.
Over 20 million people have died. This is the largest amount of people. This is the largest genocide ever. So don't take my words for it. There's plenty of sources of information.
It's a bioweapon.
It's an absolute bioweapon, which Dr. David Martin talks about, and that came out in the presentation made in Westminster Hall at Andrew Bridgen's meeting back on the 4th of December.
About the excess deaths.
And the excess deaths,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, David Martin's one of my favourite speakers about this subject because he knows so much. He's so clear and he's passionate, but it doesn't interfere with his delivery. Yeah, brilliant guy, brilliant mind.
Yeah, so check him out.
Yes.
And if you follow my Facebook page or my Telegram channel, which I'll post the link for again, I'm always posting this information. I'm always tracking and posting people that are bringing up information. So Dawn says, I think being in a long-term what? Relationship, was that? Was she going to say that? Oh, okay. So I think realize. Okay, so this is an answer to my question just now, is it? I think realizing I had to get out of a long-term narcissistic relationship in 2019 helped me question and not trust what they were pushing. Plus, there wasn't much logic to their rules.
I think if you're in relationship with narcissist, it is that is like a signal there's an attachment disorder, isn't there? Because you would notice that if you didn't have attachment problems. So yeah, luckily you've got attachment problems because you didn't swallow it.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yes.
well done. Well
Quite
done.
nice to be able to celebrate. We've got attachment issues, isn't it? Normally I'm like, oh, poor little me with me
Yeah,
attachment
like,
issues. And I'm
where's
like,
my
yeah, it's
mummy?
got attachment issues.
I've just been
Take it
writing
off.
my autobiography, and the first part of the autobiography is called "Where is my mummy?" So yeah, so now I can celebrate. It was a really good thing. Thank God I didn't have a mother taking care of me. That's all I can say. Okay, so yeah, and their rules have been totally crazy. I mean, if you start thinking about the logic, it is
The
deliberately.
6 foot apart thing.
But
I mean, even whoever questions it, all they can say is, well, we're not quite sure. We're not quite sure. We're not quite. It's just 6 foot what? What? How?
But that was part of the mind control
Yes.
techniques, as they put
Yes.
completely contradictory rules.
Well, there's a
and
field measurement as well, isn't there? There's heart math and
Yeah.
groups like that they measure the size of fields, the energetic size of fields. Oh, that was a field thing, wasn't it, as well?
Oh yeah, we were going to talk
We were
about
going to
that.
talk about fields. We'll talk about them next week. Well, a field, a field of energy, that's where the 6 foot actually stops you being connecting to, if you wanted to, it stops you connecting into somebody else's energy properly to be at that distance. It's like they really drove every nail into that social coffin that they could, didn't they, doing that?
Absolutely, absolutely. And they put out totally ridiculous contradictory rules that causes cognitive dissonance, and you end up, your brain is so scrambled, you end up going along with it.
Yeah.
Oh, Jack, I have to show this. Jack says I'm fantastic. Oh, thank you, Jack, for being a loyal.
Well, he's fantastic.
No, he says I'm fantastic. So that must have been the cleavage bit that did that.
You behave yourself, will you? If he starts barking up your tree.
Oh la la. Okay.
You'll start throwing fruit down at him.
So, Brazil, not Scotland. Why has Samantha said Brazil, not Scotland? I don't know. Why would you say that? I've lost track of that bit. Anyway, haha, says Samantha. I must have said, somebody said something funny.
Oh, it will have been me.
That would be you. You don't say anything funny. Okay. So that's it. I guess that's it.
We're over time.
And we're only 4 minutes over time.
Amazing.
So have I got time to show this little thing?
You can give them a quick intro and then they'll have to come back next week and find out what you're talking about. Why don't you do that?
Okay, so, I'm...
med beds. Have you heard of med
I'm only
beds?
here for the boobies and the glasses, says Jack.
Excellent.
Excellent, okay.
So, the idea of a med bed having, again, it's field therapy. So it's like, we're actually sitting on a magnetic field mat as well. So when you create energetic fields, you can do it in a way that's really, really disastrous to the body and can really screw up. Like what Samantha was saying with sounds. Some sounds are there to absolutely damage us. They can damage us at a cellular level. They can damage us at a DNA level. So there's so much that's known about fields and their abilities to impact the body. So fortunately, what Juliet's got is how to use them to heal the body. So it's technology that.
So this is a device created in Eastern Europe and Russia and so on, and they've been researching this for years and years and years. But you can select. There's lots of scalar type technology.
What's your experience? We can share more about it next week. But what's been your experience? Why do they need to come and listen to more information about that? What's your experience of it?
Oh, frequencies! I've never seen that before. It's just throwing up frequencies. My experience of it.
Talking to you, Samantha.
It's a super program. Well, you know, I actually find it's difficult to say categorically, oh yes, I put this on and suddenly I was better.
That's the one pill and you're fixed.
Yeah, it's not the one, but it's got over 200 programs, and I do find, particularly when I listen to the theta, turn on the theta, that it's changing how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So
it does affect. It affects our energetic field. So it will impact our biochemistry, our emotions, and maybe even the movements of the body can sometimes they can be slowed down or speeded up. There's so many ways that the body is impacted by fields. So obviously, designing fields that are healing and specifically healing for targeted areas. That's what this little device is.
So it's called a BIOMEDIS device, and I can put a link underneath here, and you can go to the web page and you can check. There's loads and loads and loads of videos on it.
There's a few different businesses that do them, aren't there? So I know other people use wands, and there's quite a variety now of different energy type tools that work on a field or work on an energy.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one's got really quite a sophisticated pack of.
So it treats all sorts of things: bronchitis, chickenpox.
And think about frequency, because everything's got a frequency. Chickenpox frequency is different to mumps frequency.
Conjunctivitis. Thank you. And dental program, detox from radiation. Hearing.
We'll need that after this bloody light show going.
Oh my God! Energy restoration, Epstein-Barr virus, and so on. Eye hemorrhage. It's got loads of things. Flu.
Epstein-Barr's good, isn't it? Because anytime we have had any metal go inside our system, it's probably got traces of that stuff in it as well.
Yeah.
So to get into the vibration of your Epstein-Barr and get that out of the way, that would probably really support an awful lot of people, actually.
Yeah. Anyway, my lovelies, well, it's so nice. I feel. Do you just give me a thumbs up now if you think I've done it better this week and I haven't been quite. That's okay. How have we been? How have we been as a team, Marion and I? Did we pass the test? We professional?
Couldn't give a shit. I've enjoyed it.
Are we
so whatever
professional?
Anybody else thinks.
Where's your boobies? I didn't see your boobies.
I'm not doing boobies. And I'm even going to do glary glasses as well. Just because I can.
Let's do glary glasses.
There you go. Glare all over them. We're glaring at you with love. Okay. Right, love, we've got to go because I've got another call in a minute.
Oh, she's got another call. She's
cryptos.
She's on it all the time. Is our Marion? Okay, so all right. Lots of love. Be well.
Next week.
See you next week. Marion will be in London, not being able to talk properly again, I expect. Anyway, bye.
I'm going to tell them what it was when they come on next week.
No, it was my computer.
I know.
Don't tell them.
I'm telling you.
No, don't tell them. Okay.